What's up, campers? If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in buying a Snow Peak Amenity dome tent, either in the small, the medium, or the large. So today we're gonna do a walkthrough of the medium. Now, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure feature-wise, they're all the same aside from the sizing. I'll put the specs right here in the video for the medium because this is what we're gonna be walking through. First, some good housekeeping. I am a Snow Peak ambassador, so I will put the link to this tent for my Snow Peak affiliate link as well as the Amazon link in there. I do make a small commissions and I appreciate it if you guys buy through there, but if not, get this tent wherever you can. I believe REI has it now by the time this video comes out. I always recommend buying a tent at REI if you're a member because you can always return it if it's not right for you, and it's a pretty seamless return process. You can get something else, kind of like testing the tent out. For those of you that don't know about Snow Peak is a Japanese camping outdoor lifestyle company because they have gear, they have clothing, and they are coming into the American market. That's probably why you've probably seen a lot more of them. And if you are familiar with Snow Peak, you probably also know that their tent and their gear and everything isn't cheap, but I assure you that it is really good quality stuff. I've been using a lot of Snow Peak stuff since before I was an ambassador because it's just legacy gear. I always say this is the kind of gear you're gonna give to your kids, your grandkids, and one day when your kids come to you, they're like, do you have a Snow Peak tent or do you have a tent? And you'll bust this out and they're gonna impress all their friends on a camping trip one day. So let's get right into the video. First, we're gonna do what comes in the bag. Second, we're gonna do a full walkthrough setup. So this is gonna be a long video. It is pretty windy today out here in Angeles National Forest, so if the wind picks up, you're gonna see what it's like setting this tent up in the wind. And finally, we're gonna do a couple minutes of walkthrough and answer some questions that I asked on Instagram about that people asked on Instagram about the tent. And so you can see all the features. I've used this tent twice already. The first time was I actually rented the large version of this tent when we were at Snow Peak Way in Long Beach, Washington. That was my first time setting up the tent, and we were kind of setting it up in the dark, and I got through it. Snow Peak is very intuitive about their setup. Everything is color coded, but I will walk through this very slowly for those of you that may not be familiar with kind of tent styles. So let's get into here first and see what comes in the bag. So I believe the large tent does come in like that classic Snow Peak, like brown and rust colorway, but the medium comes in ivory, and Snow Peak did send me this tent and I actually really like it. It reminds me a lot of the Alps mountaineering tent that I used to have. And if you watch any of my old content, that is also that brown and kind of rustish color. So let's get into this. It does not, right off the bat, it does not come with a footprint or the mat that goes inside. Those are sold separately. And also it does not come with the awning poles because this tent does kind of have an awning feature. The vestibule is huge. So basically all that comes in the tent is, let's check it out. First thing we got, and like I said, I have used this another time after they sent it to me. The actual tent itself, you can see all the stitching and frill is color coded. That's gonna be with your tent poles. They're going to color code. The next thing you're going to get is the rainfly / vestibule. Yes, you can use this tent without the rainfly. The one thing I did notice about Snow Peak tents is they're kind of see-through if you're using it without the vestibule, especially if you have a light on inside or it's bright. So that's one thing to see. I would always use a rainfly regardless of what tent you're using, but the Snow Peak tent, that's what really makes the magic about Snow Peak is their vestibules. Even though the tent is thinner, that's not to say that the material is bad. The material in these tents is awesome. I've had these tents out in pouring rain, and especially with the vestibule on, you're gonna be completely golden. They have the bathtub flooring, which we'll get into, so getting sidetracked here. Tent, rainfly, bag of poles here. Poles, and another little bag that comes with some guy lines as well as the tent stakes. Now honestly, I'm not a fan of this style of tent stake, and a lot of tents, regardless of what price range you're going into, come with these basic tent stakes. My theory is that so they come with something, but a lot of people upgrade their tent stakes. I like to use the forged ones because they're a lot stronger. These ones will do well. We're in really hard, compact ground right now, so we'll see how these tent stakes do. I'm gonna use these. You are also going to need a trusty, some type of hammer or mallet. I have this MSR metal one. I noticed that with these style of tent stakes, it's better to use like the rubber mallets. Snow Peak also sells a very expensive hammer too. So you can get that. They have a copper tip that's supposed to help. I just learned this at Snow Peak Way. When you're hammering, sometimes you get that shock wave through your arm. The copper tip's supposed to help alleviate that. Take with that what you will. I'm not sure if it actually works, but that's one thing that you can also get, but it's pretty expensive. The one thing I forgot to mention is, I believe I read somewhere that this line of tents, the Amenity Dome tent for Snow Peak, is kind of their attempt to offer a more budget tent. Now, at the time of this, I want to say that this tent comes in, man, I should have looked this up, but y'all can look it up. It'll be in the link, at $300 or $400. And a lot of their tents are $500 plus. So this is kind of like their more quote unquote budget line of tents. But I have the Alpha Breeze, and it's the same materials. The tent poles are the same. Weirdly, the tent poles are such high quality, and I can hear the tent poles. I've literally been camping and heard poles clicking around in campsites and be like, that's a Snow Peak tent. It has a very distinct sound to them. So again, sidetracked, but tent stakes and the guy lines, if you need them, there's guy lines in here with the little tabs. I really like this tab guy system more than even the Night Eyes ones. I actually had Night Eyes ones and I switched to this. So we have those. And then there is also the Amenity Dome Medium and Ivory setup guide. All the sizing is in here as well. I haven't even really looked at this, but this has a great walkthrough of how to set it up. This is basically a cross pole system with a curved loop that's going to be your vestibule, but it's not your average one, and you'll see when we set this up how it actually works. So let's hop over and set this up, walk through it. Again, leave me any questions in the comments, and either on the next camping trip or if I can answer it right away, I can answer your guys' questions. All right, first things first, let's set up the actual tent. Again, this does not come with a footprint, but the ground bathtub is relatively thick. I always just recommend trying not to get it dirty, more for the longevity of the tent. So the first thing you're gonna notice on this tent is there's this weird strap that you're like, what is this? This is gonna be where your vestibule attaches in a really actually unique design. So you know that your main door is gonna be on the side where this strap is. So I wanna have the vestibule and main door headed that way. So you can always know by the Snow Peak logo too on the outside of the door. So what we're gonna do is lay this out like this. Have this right here, just drop that on the floor and make sure we're pretty square right here. I always like to take the middle and just kind of throw it right there. So the Snow Peak is a color-coded system. So you can see on the frill right here is yellow, as well as the top, there's yellow stitching right here and green stitching. You're gonna start with the yellow stitching first, so let's grab the 2 yellow poles. So the yellow poles are your basic 10 poles, but they are robust. These are not plastic. I'm sure there's some kind of aluminum right here. We're also gonna be setting this up with just one person, like I said. So I'll give you tips and tricks along the way from what I've realized setting up this tent a couple times. Also just tent setup in general when you're doing a single person that are gonna help you, like this. So now that we have our first yellow pole, we're gonna go from corner to corner, and I'm just gonna lay it down right here. Next, we have our second yellow pole. I think this is actually a 4-pole system, now that I'm remembering. But we're walking through together, so you'll have a real experience about being a beginner using this tent. All right, second yellow pole going across here as well. And here's a tip that I'm gonna show y'all if you are setting up a tent in the wind. I'm gonna come over here and grab a single tent stake as well as our trusty hammer. So right now, the wind seems to be coming from this side. It's blowing this way. So if you're setting up a tent in the wind, what you can do is take one tent stake in one corner. If the wind is coming this way, meaning the wind is going in that direction, one tent stake, one corner, and just hammer one corner in. It doesn't have to be all the way in. If it's really windy, you could also do lightly the other 2 corners, so 3. So when the wind's blowing this way, this isn't gonna come up and fold over. The wind's not crazy right now, but just for demonstration purposes and just in case it picks up, we'll put that one there. Next, we have 2 tent poles set across, right? On a cross. So one is on top, one is on bottom. What I like to do is set up the one that you have laid up on top first. So that one's underneath this pole. So we'll take the one on top and yellow goes with yellow. We're gonna feed it through. And one of the things I really like about the Snow Peak tent system, I don't know if you can see this. I'll get a little B-roll on my phone right here so it's a close-up. A lot of times in the old style tent systems, there's 2 separate sleeves right here. So take a look. But on the Snow Peak one, it is 1 sleeve, so your tent pole isn't gonna slip out when you're halfway through. It's gonna stay in the sleeve, and that's just a great design. So we're gonna put these all the way through. 1, and you wanna get it as centered as possible. So equal sticking out on both ends. There is kind of a curvature to the pole, so you kind of wanna get it equal. And then what you're gonna do is, in this tent system, again, I'll use my phone to show you over here. How this works out is on your clip, you're gonna have your buckle with a tie down for a tent stake, and you're gonna have this little pin right here. So this little pin is not to stake into the ground. I've heard people stake these into the ground. You're never gonna get your tent sturdy like that, but I can see how people would think that. What that little pin is the end of your tent pole goes inside here, and that's gonna the tension pushing that way is gonna keep your tent poles properly in place. So we started with the top one because when you erect this, there'll be less weight with the other tent pole on this one. So let's do this now. Again, this is the top tent pole. So because we're doing this by ourselves, that peg is in that tent pole. What I'm gonna do is apply light pressure facing that way so that doesn't slip out of that little stake in there. Light pressure, and as I'm applying light pressure, I'm gonna start raising it. Keeping that pressure that way, pulling this way with the tent towards my right, pushing the other way with the tent pole. And I'm holding it, so I can hold the tension on this. If I release the tension, that's gonna happen. So I'm holding the fabric and the pole, pushing it up, then gripping down. That's gonna keep that nice and taut. Then you're gonna come down here, take the other one. Keep slipping. Pull this out while keeping the tension that way. Come down, work your way down, take your time. If you feel like anything is too tense, release it. Now you got 1 pole in. Once the first pole is in, just give it a little nudge, make sure it's nice and centered. All right. Now, you can let this fall actually, but what I like to do, have 1 in, right? I'm gonna keep my hand on the tent the entire time. The reason being, when you walk over to this one, you grab the other yellow sleeve, all right? Now take your other tent pole. I guess you didn't really have to cross them. My old tent, I crossed them, but this is actually better design. So I had my hand on the tent the entire time so I can go like this. Now, I'm gonna slip this in. Oh yeah, baby. Lift it up, kind of push it through. If it does get a little snaggy waggy, release your hand and just get it all the way through. Boom. There you go. You can do it when it's all flat before, like put the tent poles through, but I like to do it this way because I found it's a little faster. All right. Now you're going to repeat that same process of putting that little stake into the poles. Push it all the way through. This side is actually staked down, if you remember. So you're actually going to be able to apply a lot more pressure this way for the tent. But see how it's kind of staying by itself? So now that it's like that, walk around, continue to put pressure that way, because if you pull this way and you're by yourself, that's gonna come out of the stake and then you're just gonna get frustrated. So again, pushing pressure lightly this way, pulling the sleeve this way. Again, holding the fabric and the tent, grip it, use your other hand, pull it down like this. Now you might say, dude, Roland, you're overcomplicating this. Maybe, but this is the way that I found works the fastest, the most consistent method. So now I'm just putting the little stake in there, boom. And basically you are set up and you're ready to go if you're just using the tent for the cross poles. The next pole we're gonna use is the green pole right here. So yellow first, followed by the green pole. So let's come over here and get the green pole. The wind is picking up, but that's okay because we have that corner staked in. We're gonna put our green pole together. And I'll do this side first and I'll give you guys a little close up of what's going on. So this is gonna be, whoop, whoa! Sorry, just smacked you guys. All right, we're 10 minutes into the setup already, but like I said, I'm walking through real slow. I just smacked it. Is that centered? My bad. All right, sorry y'all. Okay. Green end of the tent pole, green sleeve. Hold on, hit it again. Again, just feed it through. Feed this bad boy through. And it's gonna go on the outside of this yellow pole. So make sure it doesn't go on the inside under, it's gonna stay on the outside. So once it's all the way through, make sure it's the outside on that side too. And then you're like, where is this gonna connect? This is gonna connect to this other green. This isn't a sleeve, but it's just green fabric to show you where the tent pole is gonna go. Down here. Again, we have another one of these little spikes. This doesn't go in the ground, it goes into the end of your tent pole. Like that, boom. So I'm gonna go around to the other side. I'll take you guys with me. All right. The other side is gonna be the exact same thing. I'm not gonna be able to do this. Let's see. All righty. It's gonna go in there, boom. There you go. So for the most part, if you're not gonna use the rainfly and you're not gonna expect rain, condensation, you're camping on a nice dry day, you can use the tent basically just like this. We'll go into later, there is a vent on this side that you can close up so the rain won't get you even if it does, but I do highly recommend using the rainfly for a variety of reasons because it's super cool the way that this rainfly and vestibule setup is designed. Excuse me, repping up the morning beer. All right, next thing you're gonna do is take all these little clamps, and I'll show you again here. Kind of like an external pull system. These are just gonna clamp on right there. Boom. We're gonna walk around the whole tent. And this is what's gonna give you some tension on the tent. It's gonna create the maximum amount of room in the tent, headspace at least. All right, boom. One-handed. Something that's really cool that I have not seen on other tents, or at least the Snow Peak tents. The Alpha Breeze at this part right here, which I'll show you guys in the front, is a Velcro system, but I actually really like what they did here. Having two of these guys, one for each of these tent poles. Makes it really quick and really easy. Alrighty. Did I get all of them? On there. All these ones on here. Here. Boom. All right. This next step is the tricky step that I didn't realize when I was setting this up at Snow Peak Way. This is the fourth pole, breaking the fourth wall and the fourth pole. You're like, what the F is up with this fourth pole? So this fourth pole, we're gonna save until we put the rainfly on, okay? But there is gonna be a fourth pole. So next is the rainfly. This is kind of the hardest part about any tent. is figuring out which direction the rainfly goes. Where the corners are color coded, so you know that this green is going to be a side, this yellow is going to be a corner. I wish they would put somewhere to say which is the front. So what I usually do, let's just throw it on. There's the Snow Peak logo. Oh, look, the wind is helping us. All right, so that's the back. Sometimes the wind helps. All right, thank you, wind. As long as I have this on the right way, this should be cool. All right, so green, wow, the wind is really helping. But I have it on backwards, actually. This is the back, that's the front. So, let's just win. Let's see if the wind will help us again. So y'all are going to see me struggle right here because this is the reality. But if I would have noticed right here, there's this little triangle. This is actually the rear vent. So if I would have just put that towards the back, then I would have been good to go. But you're going to watch me struggle with this for a little bit. Is that right? Where are my tabs at? Where are my tabs at? Like I said, this is my least favorite part of setting up a tent. It's easier if you do have two people, each person just grab a side like you're folding a sheet, and you can just rotate. But because it's just us, we're doing this. Okay, this is a side. The green is here. All right, so that green goes there. I don't even know if we're in the right thing anymore. Yellow. Green. Oh my gosh. Nope, I have it on. I didn't get it on right. Backwards again. Oh my gosh, I told you this is my least favorite part of any tent. Okay, there's it. I didn't realize where this tent pole sleeve is. That's how you tell where the front is. Okay, noted. I'm also just learning this tent with y'all, so there we go. We are lined up, green to green, yellow to yellow. And then basically coming down this corner, clip in all your corners and clip in all your greens. I just keep them loose and I'll tension them once we stake everything down. So that corner's good. Keep it loose. Corner's good. Oh, can't find it. Clip in the green. Pretty simple. Clip in the yellow. All right. The final yellow. I'm going to show you guys something right here. Close up. This corner, you got a lot of stuff going on. We have our tent stake. Actually, I should have staked it down in this loop. So let's do that later. But you have another peg here, right? And you have this strap. The strap's going to go right here on the outside. You just want to keep this thing free, this pole. That's going to go that way, and we're going to clip in hard one-handed. Oh. Boom. All right, we're clipped in, and this vestibule, you have all this extra tent, which is going to be a really cool vestibule. So we're going to take another tent stake, and I'm actually going to move you guys for this part so you can see a better close-up. Working on the ground right here. Got our hammer. All right. So with this pole, it's basically measured out already. So this, you cannot adjust this. So what you're gonna do is make sure that it's nice and tensioned. take the little like paracord style loophole. You don't want it like that. You don't want it like that. You want to make sure both these lines are nice and tensioned, and hammer this guy in, leaving this little the tab. I'm not going to call it a tent stake to confuse everybody. Leaving that little tab free. So I'll show you guys a shot. This is what it's going to look like when this is properly staked down. You have a tensioned line here, tension line here, and we're going to get the other and final tent pole real quick. This tent pole is not color coded, and it goes into the sleeve that is also not color coded. So it's going to go, actually I think it's going to be better from this side. You'll see why in a second. You're going to take the sleeve. There is a little black stitch at the end so you know where it ends. And put this here, and you're like, what the F? This is super weird and super complicated. It's actually a cool design, and actually I wish I would have set the tent up the other way, so this side on that side, because our opening is going to be facing that way, but it's all good. Now, remember this other little tab that we left free over here? This is where this tent stake is going to go into. So just like all the other corners, it's going to go into this tab. Keep the tension on it. Same thing, keeping the tension that way. This is going to pop out, and the other side of this stake is going to go into the tab that's right here on the ground that we left free. Boom. So you have this little thing. You're like, what the F is this? What is this supposed to do? Enter more tent stakes. Let's grab a couple more. And so the tension is what's going to give you this really cool shape right here. So this is actually the awning. So you're going to come to the end. I really like here, especially for the awning, they have these little kind of like shot cord stakes right there. You're going to pull it this way. See how that pops out? Tension it. We might adjust the stakes later, but we'll see. These stakes are actually doing really well. I usually am not a fan of these stakes. Boom. I'm gonna bring you all around so you can see how this is shaping up to be. Okay. Boom. Is that good? All right. Another stake. Again, finding the corner or the little paracord, not paracord, shot cord like tabs. You can put them through both, but I like to just put them on. This is your awning, so use this one. It can eventually clip into it, so you want to leave a little bit of the stake up so you can fold that one into it. I'll show you later. So once you have it in, re-zip it so you know which one. You're gonna have that tension. Of course, there's like a tree root right here. I think we'll be able to avoid it. Maybe, yeah, almost. Boom. Finally, on this side, let me show you guys a little close up. You're gonna see a loop on this side and a little hook. This little hook is just gonna hook in to the little ring down here. Just like that. Hooks right there. And then you are basically set up. I'm seeing a little slack in the vestibule right here, so I'm gonna adjust a little bit. This is more, not necessarily more aesthetic, but if it's raining, for sure it's not aesthetic, but I wanna make sure that everything's nice and tensioned. So there we go, that's nice and taut. All right, I like that a lot better. The final thing we're gonna do is go around, stake down all of our corners and adjust the straps so that the tension's being pulled. Let me show you what I mean by that. After I do this one. So this is what the tent stake is attaching to, not the ring, not the cords or anything, that little white kind of paracord thing. And you can also, especially if it's windy, if you're expecting rain, you're gonna want this thing super taut. We're not expecting rain tonight. You can also stake down the green side ones right here as well. And see how that's gonna pull the rainfly away from the tent? When you're using a rainfly, you do not want the rainfly touching the actual tent itself. But I'm not gonna do those. I usually only do those if it's raining. I think it'll be fine. But there you go. That's basically the Amenity dome tent in medium. So let's do a quick little walk around before we open her up, and that's when this tent really shines. It's basically a cross pole four-person tent with this big ass vestibule right here. These are guide down points if you need to guide the tent down right here. All the tabs, so if it's really, oh, I forgot to actually stake one thing down right here, the back, but of course there's a big ass rock here. So you should stake this down if this rock wasn't here. What the heck is that? Like a hook? Maybe I'll try it. So I forgot to do that one. Another guide point up here, another guide point up here. Guide points are going to be extremely important if you are camping in high wind, or if it's really rainy, or the raining's like coming in sideways. These are not guide points. These are actually what the awning is gonna kind of roll up into, and I'll show you that right now. So this is like tent setup in you're going to sleep mode, rain mode, wind mode. But where I think that Snow Peak really shines, and this is carryover from their Alpha Breeze tent, is that they open up beautifully so that they have a nice breeze and there's plenty of living space or gathering space. Snow Peak is really big on Takibi time, which is centered around the fireplace or fire pit for camping. But all of their entire line, whether it's gear, whether it's tent, is all about, like, honestly, straight like chilling, like having a good time, relaxing in nature. So even in inclement weather, this tent is gonna be able to withstand something like that. Now, it's not a 4-season tent. I wouldn't say this is a 4-season tent solely because it's not super like insulated. 4-season tents usually have like insulated walls. You could definitely get away, especially if you get that mat underneath the footprint, as well as the padded mat that goes inside the tent on top. That does wonders for warmth. But I'm in SoCal, any type of rain. I've had like really hard rain come down on my Snow Peak tents, and it's basically 100% fine. Basically 100%. It's 100% fine. And I'll show you the bathtub style flooring at the inside. This is the awning. This is really cool. And this is actually, like I said, it does not come with the poles though. You don't need them, but they are really nice to have, especially if you're trying to get that vibey Snow Peak look. All their shots are always with their awnings out. Okay. What this is gonna do, oh shoot. Okay, I have these mixed up. This is what I was saying earlier. I'll show you guys right now. Remember how I said not to put that pole all the way in the ground? Because while there, I was walking y'all through how to set it up. On this side, I got distracted. So this is what I'm talking about. This is actually the awning. So the actual foot or the tent is right here. So I'm gonna take this one off, and this is the one that's actually aside to the like the wall. Clip that in there. So see, now this is free. So if you had the tent poles here, you have a big old living area in there, as well as this awning. So like I said, tent poles. And for the tent poles, what you do is basically put the tent pole here, then guide this out, and the tension's what's gonna keep it up. How I like to do this, you have the whole awning like this, bring them both to the center, take the center part, and then just roll it up like this. And like I said, these aren't guy line points, these are roll points for the awning, right here, right here. So I rolled that up. This is also another door. So this is the door you're gonna use if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, because you don't have to have two zippers. This is kind of your standard tent door. Again, this is not a guy line point. This is for the door. For these, see if you can see here. Same method, bring it to the center, roll it back, take the little buckle tab and put it through the loop here. I'm not even gonna do the bottom one. And I think this is where this tent really shines. Let me take you all in a little, oh, let's do the back too. Let's do the back. My bad, my bad. You'll get a real-time demonstration so you can fully see the breeziness of the tent. So just like the awning in the front, of course I put this, like, it's not a rock, I think it's a tree stub. You could stake this down. I'm not going to, but like I said, for this stake, anything that's gonna undo like this, don't hammer it all the way into the ground, because you're gonna wanna be able to loop it back in. Again, same, pull it to the center. Pull this, bring the little tab around. This little, what do you call this, toggle just goes into the hole. That will open her up on this side. In the Alpha Breeze, what we do a lot is if we have a tent stake right here, we'll just have this staked one down and open one side depending on where the sun is going. And toggle this. Dude, it's getting hot out here. All right. Ooh. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm trying to see how I wanna show you guys. Let's do another walk around of just like this. So this is like nap privacy mode, but this is what I love about this tent. See all that living area? The vestibule is huge. 2 openings. So that's why I said I wanted to have those openings on this side. This is more like privacy. If you're camping with a group that you don't want to see anything in the tent, set it up this way. But wherever your view is, I guess this way is good for the view, because if you're chilling in there, you get the view this way. Right, I had to take my beanie off because that cow ply beanie is no joke. That thing was hot as F. All right, good looking tent, right? So now I'm gonna take you inside and explain some of the features and a couple of my favorite features of Snow Peak that really gives testament to their design and ergonomics. So let's go in. So first thing you're gonna notice is this vestibule is huge. Now this is not a standing up tent by any means. It's still super roomy though. You can definitely fit one person in here, especially if the awning's out, you can probably fit more. With a chair, even probably like a little table. Again, being a Japanese company, a lot of Snow Peak stuff is really small. A lot of their stuff is sitting down level, even their tables. But as they come into the American market, they are making more things that are more stand-up-ish, American, big, just like the Alpha Breeze. So this is kind of a good, but the Alpha Breeze is actually a big, heavy tent too. I love it. So this is kind of a compromise between the stand-up tent of the Alpha Breeze and just like a Snow Peak tent that's classic Japanese style. So let's unzip this. Take off our slippers. Oh, see, it is warm in here. It is warm in here. All right, so here's what it looks like when you're inside the tent. That's the vestibule. Cool view from both sides. Like I said, if the awning was out, you'd have even more room. But what I'm gonna do is close the zipper. All right. We have, how many pockets? 2 pockets in here. 1, 2, and the Alpha Breeze has 4. But up here, moving up to the top, you also have a vent that I really like. There's like a moth in here. So let's open up the vent before I freaking cook in here. Now we're cooking. I really like these triangle style vents too. I feel like they're really aesthetic. If I had 2 hands, I would go like this and then use the toggle. But because I only have 1 hand, it's just gonna hang like that. It does have loops in here for like a gear hammock, which it didn't come with, unfortunately. So I don't even know if they sell one. I'll have to look into that. There's also a loop at the top if you want to hang a lantern or something. But this is one of my favorite things that we use quite often with Snow Peak. And I'll show you. Oh, I'm gonna be a little backlit there. But it's the same on both sides. Both doors have this feature. So if you're sleeping at night, you're obviously sleeping on the ground, unless you have cots. But what I really like about what Snow Peak did, and I haven't seen this in other tents, is if you want to breeze, but you don't want the door completely open, I thought this was a really thoughtful design where you can just open the bottom, even opening it like that, I can feel the breeze coming in, right? You can toggle this, fold this up, and having this bottom open, I don't think that one goes, yeah. Just having this open this much when you're sleeping, if you have the bottom open on that side, and then you do the same thing with the bottom here, and you have the top open during the summer, what that's gonna do is as heat rises, it's gonna pull in the colder air. So, depending on which side you sleep on, top vent is open, it's gonna pull that cold air in, it's gonna go up and out the top. There's actually a vent in the rainfly as well that will simultaneously keep you dry. We'll do that on the end outside. But let's open this tent up for like day mode or like party mode. Let's unzip this. Again, same thing, just so the screen is open. Oh yeah, I was baking in here. I'm sweating, especially in this freaking Carhartt freaking vest. Shout out Alex and Giant and Liv for sending, well, I don't know, Alex, I don't know if you're supposed to give us these, but shout out Alex for getting this for me and Ryan. Boom, that's open. Let's go to this side. Now, because I have two hands, I'm gonna close this up, or open this up. All right, boom. Open the screens. Oh, now that cross breeze is, you can really feel it. Oh man, that feels amazing. Open it up all the way, roll. All right. Boom. Boom. So, super open layout. I really like this about this tent. They give you two big doors, excellent for viewing the view, great for cross breeze, and it is literally significantly cooler in this tent. But the next feature I'm gonna show you all is, I'll come back in here to show it. I didn't even realize this yet. I'm realizing it when we get in here now, that there is a vent for the rainfly as well. So let's go out and we'll show you how that works. Also too, stand-up wise, I'm 5'11", and this is, like I said, this is not a stand-up tent, but in the center, I can basically get almost standing up. Basically, if my head got chopped off, I'd fit in this tent perfectly. Okay. Damn, I was cooking in there. So I didn't realize that this tent had this until right now. This is that triangle where the vent is on the bottom, Velcroed. Most tents have these days, I just didn't see it. And this little flap is Velcro. So you can go like that. So even if it's downpour raining, you can see from the side, the vent is up in there, vented, but as you can see, even if it was downpour raining, it would just slide right off. And then when you're inside, that's how that vent looks. You can get a nice breeze. All your condensation will go out there, hopefully. And there you have it. All right, y'all, that is the Amenity Dome Snow Peak tent in the size medium full walkthrough. Yes, it did take a while, but I was obviously going slow and also still figuring out, so I can show you guys some tricks and tips. It is a beautiful tent. No, it's not a gazelle. It's not gonna pop up in like 4 seconds and, you know, but if you're looking for a more curated camping experience, I think Snow Peak, it's a very different style of camping. It's American style versus Japanese style. In America, we wanna fucking set up our shit. Sorry for cursing. I'm sorry for cursing. We wanna set up our crap fast and get fucking hurry up and relax. But enjoying the process of setting up a tent is something that I've really come to enjoy, especially when it's a Snow Peak tent, really enjoying the design and engineering. And once this is set up, it is a beautiful place for y'all, your family, your kids. You're gonna make some great memories. You have those great Pinterest looking shots if that's what you're looking for. So it's not typical American style. There's a lot of culture that also goes along with having Snow Peak and learning about Snow Peak gear. The relationship that they have to nature is also very different than we have here in America. So I think it's really cool to get a taste of both. Also, what I forgot to show you is the bathtub netting. So even in full rain, this is about 2 or 3 inches up. Even if you're in a puddle, you're gonna be fine. So there we go. If y'all have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe. I'm gonna start ramping up the YouTube, doing a lot more gear, setup videos, how-tos that are a lot more obviously long-form content. If you're still here, appreciate you. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and ask me any questions that you want to see about this tent. Or I might do a walkthrough with the Alpha Breeze, because I haven't done a full one with the Alpha Breeze yet, which is my favorite Snow Peak tent. So until next time, remember to keep it safe, keep it clean, and keep yourself informed. Like, follow, and subscribe for more camp stuff. Say hi to Ryan.